Make sure that's going. Get my screen share going. How's everybody doing? I actually went all day and did not place any trades. Can you believe that? 0 trades. 0. Yep, that's Moose. Moose. I think he is an Australian Shepherd. I think an Australian Shepherd. Yep. Canadian, like a Australian Shepherd moose. Yep. Yep. So, do you guys making some R's today? You know, it's interesting being a swing trader is I don't feel like I have to place trades every day. Like, how amazing is that, right? Like, I can go weeks without making any trades, and I just hold what I currently have, and it continues to work in my favor, right? Or maybe sometimes not in my favor. Maybe I get stopped out, but that's kind of an amazing feeling to have this freedom to do whatever I want just a few hours a week swing trading. So amazing, amazing. I love this. I love trading. So let's start out by talking about SPY, SPY. Let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Everyone see my screen? So on SPY, we got another distribution day today. So we still have a few, just means caution. Doesn't mean go to cash, it just means caution. And so what happened today was we actually gapped up, sold off. And so we're down just a little bit compared to the close yesterday, Friday. And we had an above, the volume today was above the previous session yesterday. So I'm still thinking, Jeremy and I both still think we might get some kind of sell-off and then some kind of continuation higher. So I do think we will see probably in the next month, we'll see all-time highs again. So we'll see what happens with the virus, the let's say all the craziness that is and was and is 2020, right? Oh my goodness, I can't name the craziness that's all occurred this year, including like the mint running out of coins. Have you guys seen those signs? Like at gas stations or wherever, like we're out of coins. 2020, just don't even try it on anything. Just 2020. Say no more. Okay, and it looks like we're if tomorrow, the next day, we get some kind of sideways action. It looks like on the Qs that we will have a this distribution day, right, day number 25. This will go away and we'll be at 3, which just means smooth sailing. So all ahead 2/3 for those of you who like submarine movie lingo. All ahead 2/3. Yep. Okay, and let's take a look at, I went ahead and loaded up your afternoon room list here. Someone asked for BIOB, which is Biogen. I would not sell puts on it because it's below, actually, I don't know how I would do anything on this. It's kind of just chopping sideways. I realize that sometimes these stocks make these massive, massive runs and people tend to say, oh, what about this? But after it's made a crazy, crazy run like this candle, like unless you're in it already, you've already missed it, right? Like there's no jump in now kind of thing. So imagine being the guy who sold, you bought in right there, right? You're like this huge candle, it's going higher, and you're that guy, and man, what a wake-up call. It obviously gaps down, goes lower, and then gaps way down here, literally. And this is why you have to be super, super careful with some of this biotech stuff. I mean, there's no telling what could happen with some of these companies. It's so whoever recommended or whoever put this on the list, I don't really see anything short of a little bitty Momo, but again, it is pretty much going sideways for a while. So I don't really see anything, nothing I would recommend at this time on Biogen. So if we next look at Amazon, Amazon's hitting its head on the 100-day simple moving average, which is my blue line. If we were to look at it on the 10 EMA, gave a signal back here to enter with probably a stop down here. So you'll see that even if you missed that, you can still use like a stop limit order if you still want to get into this. On Amazon, stop limit order here, probably with a stop market order down here. Does that make sense? So again, that's the cool thing about some of these signals. If you miss it, you have the opportunity to get in. And if you use a stop limit, that means the price has to first go higher first to touch that green line so that you can enter. So it's kind of like you get a second chance. And obviously you're not limit buying, but you're jumping in if it gets back to that level. If you're looking on Momo on a, sorry, if we look at it through the Momo lens, it's saying to jump in over here, bullish. So a little bit of a sell-off near the end of the day there. So that's what we have on Amazon. Any questions? My Christmas projection. So what's interesting is that a lot of people, a lot of retail have these massive run through the holidays, through Thanksgiving, Black Friday, all the way through the end of the year. But that, I always feel like that's kind of expected, right? It's not like, oh, Christmas comes in December this year, right? It's like that's baked in and kind of anticipated already. So, does Amazon go higher over time? Probably, yeah. I really like Amazon, the cloud piece of it, more than the actual retail piece, believe it or not. It's not a very friendly retail operation for small businesses, and it's my soapbox issue. But I will just say that that if it's expected to do lots and lots of volume, and with COVID, people not going out as much, I mean, I could see it reaching higher just because everyone's thinking, oh, it's people are shopping more online, which that trend, e-commerce, that's been a trend. COVID kind of accelerated it more. It's not really anything new. But I could see it going a little bit higher between now and the end of the year. Yep. Projections wise, I don't know, 3,400 maybe. We'll see. But then if you look at it that way, you also have this, you can have this kind of level here where it seems to hit its head. Seems to hit its head on here a few times. So resistance wise, so 3,400. It is probably doable, but we might get one quick flush first. So maybe we get something like this, just a guess. No one really knows what'll happen, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it there. Let's see, let's take a look at the volume profiles, the volume bars. It's interesting when it comes to what I call the volume pinch, where you have this candle right here, where you have these two, you have accelerated, higher than average volume here, right, on this candle, and it closes above the next day, and it does eventually creep higher. But what is interesting about that is that we certainly did not get back up and close above this level, right? You guys see that? I call it the volume pinch. And I don't think Jeremy has a term for it. I like to throw terms at things so people can, have kind of a shortcut reference idea. But you guys see what I'm talking about? This candle right here, higher than average volume, plus a sell-off. We have yet to close above that, and that we're going on a little over 4 or 5 weeks now on that. Yeah. Terry says, should have a good 1-4. They move Prime Day sales to January. Okay, January 4th. Yep. And again, like, what is it? What is the British? It's Boxing Day. Is that what it's called? It's like the day after Christmas. I think it's called Boxing Day. Is that right, Terry? Boxing Day. It's like I guess it's like the post Christmas or something. UK and Canada. Okay, there you go. But again, you have to think about what is expected versus what is abnormally unusual, like higher than normal, right? So like if you buy something like, let's say you buy shares of Starbucks just because the local Starbucks has a long line, is that really the correct perspective? Is that really the right way to think about it? Probably not. I've actually been guilty of that when I first started trading. Oh, my local Starbucks is busy. The question should be, is it normally busy? Yes. So then seeing it busy is normal. That's not like anything above average abnormal, right? You guys see where I'm going with that? So same thing with Amazon, is people expect this to have some run up. And we made new highs back in the early September, but just haven't taken those highs out yet. Even even with the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales kind of mixed in here, still haven't taken out those highs. So Amazon's a pretty interesting company because it has more than just retail. There's a whole technology. Like if they could spin off their AWS thing, I think that would be very, very valuable to invest in that piece, not necessarily the retail piece. I'd love to invest into the AWS only piece, but it is what it is. That's where they are now. Maybe they have a split someday, but they're not there right now. Let's take a look at on Momo, see what Momo says. Yep, Momo said, yeah, I'm sorry, we looked at that already. So yeah, kind of get in there. You could set this up as a stop limit buy. Okay, next is PSX. Phillips 66. I believe this is one of Warren Buffett's companies. Our signal to get in for the 10 EMA would have been here on December 2nd, so about 2 weeks ago. Jump in. If you're not in, I would not chase it. Let's take a look on a bigger time frame, like a weekly. Yeah, we're way well below some of these. Actually, on the long-term moving average, we're just barely above our 200 simple moving average. The thing I don't like about these oil companies is I can't help but think 10, 20 years from now is they're going to, with Tesla and other electric car makers, are we still going to have, obviously it's not going to be a quick transition, but are we still going to have these old school energy companies around? I don't know. I feel like there will be some around, but something will have to give because the consumption will have to be reduced if the demand, right? The production will have to be reduced if the demand is reduced. So I don't see anything that jumps out at me right now on this, short of, if you wanted to wait for, if you wanted to be bullish and you wanted to wait for some kind of a snapback where these moving averages cross, I would check on that in a day or two from now. We did get a entry here to jump in on the 2nd, so 2 weeks ago. So congratulations to those who jumped in and rode that a little bit higher. Obviously that's Momo, and if you missed it, just wait. Do not chase it higher. Don't be the guy chasing the racquetball full speed ahead towards the wall and then running into the wall as it bounces. So that's PSX. And LS, Nautilus. So on this one, on our 10 EMA strategy, where we're waiting for a close above and being above our green line, which is our 50 EMA, we still have some time for that to work in our favor. So we need, let's see, we need the blue line to be above the green line, which it's going to be probably at least a week or two before that happens. And then we want to close below and then a close above, and then we'll be ready to jump in. But that's on the 10 EMA strategy. If we look at it using our long-term, these are decent levels to sell puts, right? If you are a put seller, and actually, let me ask you guys, how many of you guys just put the letters or put the number 1 in the chat pane if you sell puts? If you are a put seller, you sell puts. Okay, so a few, 3 people, 4 or 5. Okay. Danny sells a lot of puts, it looks like. Okay, so a handful of you guys sell puts. Yeah, so this is a decent run. I mean, if you look at the trend on something like this, well, as of like the beginning of the year, starting like in this area, it starts making a decent run, and it goes from like penny stock level up to legit company level. So that's kind of a good thing. So as far as like selling put options on these lower price stocks, like on a $17 stock, you're not going to get tons of premium. Obviously, if you have a $400 stock, like something like Nvidia, or you're going to get more premium for the bigger dollar. It's hard to sell like on something like this. I don't even know what the premium is, but it's not going to be much. I can tell you that on these. So that means you then have to sell a lot of contracts to kind of reach whatever goal you have for the trade. So so for something on this, I would I don't know, I guess you could just buy some shares whenever this trend changes for Momo, which might be tomorrow actually, right? On if the red and green crisscross, you might get the signal for that tomorrow. I would just buy shares. Don't even worry about options. And yeah, that's what I would do on NLS. tomorrow. So just to clarify, if you get the signal, if you get this green arrow tomorrow, all I'm saying, John, is that these lines are close together, and what I'm looking for is the green and the red to crisscross, and then I get my little green triangle signal. Now tomorrow, Robert Falco will be in the afternoon room. Jeremy is on Necker Island. You guys familiar with Necker? Let me show you this. I was looking at this earlier. Necker Island. This is where Jeremy is. Necker Island. This is Richard Branson's literal house in the British Virgin Islands. So as you know, Jeremy was on a different island, and he's moving here to Necker Island today. So he's checking in, getting his suite. It's pretty well built out. It's much more built out than Buck Island, just because it's been around a lot longer. I mean, look at these views, ladies and gentlemen. Infinity pool. Look at that. How many of you guys would like to make enough hours to go there for a week? I will tell you, it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. And twice a year, you can, typically what you do is you have to rent the whole island. So in case you have an extra $700,000 to rent the whole island, if you don't have that, you can, twice a year, you can rent an individual building, like an individual suite. And those are what, $45,000 for a week. So this is living. And they do have lemurs now too. So, put it on your bucket list for next week. I'm sorry, next year. So it's pretty amazing. Yep. Necker Island's been on my bucket list for about a year or two. And so, yep, I'll be going at some point soon. Okay. So I don't know whoever had NLS, if that answers your question. It did have a nice update today. It's up 3%. So don't just buy it tomorrow, wait for the signal. And again, Momo requires the close of the candle. I see some people talking about, I got the signal from Momo right at the open of the day, but it has the close of the candle. The 78-minute candle has to close, right? So just something to think about, something to be mindful of. If you get it, you think about it this way too. I had a coaching call today. What happens if you want to try to get ahead of the signal, which is it's fine. You just have to be mindful. What happens if you get in and then the final closing candle tells you not to get in? Then what do? You tried to jump ahead and then it's like, nope, we're not getting in. And then what do? Do you exit? Do you hold it when that wasn't really the signal? That really wasn't really part of the plan. Just something to think about, something to be mindful of. How about Red Necker Island? Does that count? I'm not sure what that means. Red Necker. Oh, Redneck Island. Larry the Cable Guy. He needs his own island, right? Redneck Island. Oh, it sounds like a 2020 TV show. I don't know. Oh my. Okay, so does that answer your question, guys, about NLS? Kind of what I would do there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so well built. So let's take a look on the bigger timeframes on the dailies. This trend is not at least the stock itself looks like it had quite a bit of sell-off during COVID and is still not yet recovered. The rest of the market has recovered, so I would say this kind of underperforms the actual overall market, right? And in case I'm not sure why, I'm not sure what all they do, but if you were to look at SPY, SPY has very much, you guys can look at it, SPY very quickly, not very quickly, but it was a good August. So let's see, April, May, June, July. So about 4 or 5 months. It recovered from the COVID sell-off. So about a month of selling, right? And then a good 3 or 4 months of buying that it recovered. And you guys can easily see, and I love when Jeremy says easily, and I'm like, are we looking at the same thing? Easily, obvious resistance, obvious support. But you guys can easily see that the sell-off is a much more violent, right? This was a much more violent move than this slow and steady climb, right? That's why they say elevator down and it stairs up, right? It's a very slow, gradual grind higher. But all that to say is that this is SPY, and if you were to look at well built, it still has not recovered when markets are pushing all-time highs. It still has not recovered. It had such a violent sell-off. So I'm not sure what they do. I assume they compete with companies like Caterpillar or something. Is that right? But I don't see anything in here that I would do personally. Again, it's not on my watch list, so yeah, had a nice little Momo trend from 650. Yeah. So you got the signal at close today to short. For those of us who mostly go long, if you get a short signal and if you get some kind of a sell-off where it goes low, where it goes lower, where's my brush, goes lower, and then the moving averages were to crisscross, you would just wait for a signal to go higher, right? Just wait for the green arrow to show up. But nothing I would touch, just because it's underperforming the rest of the market. Or why would you want to put your money in something that's underperforming? I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys have reasons why you want to do that, but yeah. Yep. So Fubo, let's go look at it on the longer daily. So nice escalator up from, let's see, where's the sell off? Yeah, so this looks like it was low volume for quite some time up until October. So this looks like this thing woke up in October. And here is the volume pinch. You guys see? So if I was to explain the volume pinch, if you were to look at this chart, just look at this right here. If you look at this candle, that is the highest volume sell-off day anywhere ever. True or false? True, right? So if you're a bull and we close above that level, right, because of our volume pinch, if we close above that level, you have a pretty good sense, high probability we're going to be going higher, right? Now we might retest that a little bit. We might go like this, right? And there we go, lower, higher. And the reason is because anyone who shorted this gap up and went lower, anybody who shorted there, when you close above that candle, you're automatically going to be upside down, no matter where in the day, no matter what price you got during like all the bulls, all the bears are going to be trapped. So if you're bullish, you want the bears to be trapped, right? If you're bearish, you want the bulls, right? So vice versa. So in this case, you guys can see kind of the volume pinch, how that worked in your favor, right? Where you easily got a higher move because we closed above. Now, the best volume pinches in my mind is where you have a sell-off day like this, and then the very next day you close higher, meaning the bears were profitable for one day and you flip it really quickly, right? And they're upside down immediately the next day. In this case, it took 3 or 4 days to play out. So I don't know if that is helpful if it comes to reading volume and thinking about sentiment and how things are going, but that's what I call the volume pinch. I don't know if Jeremy has given it a term, but that's the way I think about it. But if you're interested in selling puts on this, obviously our indicator is showing like a 22 level, assuming there's options available for this. Today would have been an okay day at the low wick of this to sell some options. Again, option premium, but again, on a low price stock like this, you're not going to get tons and tons of premium to begin with. So just something to be mindful of. If you look at it on the 10 EMA, look at that. It gave us a signal right here, back here around the $10, $11 mark. And congratulations to those who, if you're able to get in way back then. Not on my watch list, but that's what it's showing us. And then it's showing a quick, on Momo, if you're not in bearish, you certainly could. The price action is almost right there right now. So if you wanted to buy puts or sell short, be my guest. So for this, it's not something I'm going to touch. Next is QDEL. Talked to a couple people today about QDEL. So there's my drawing on QDEL that had this previous gap down, kind of ran higher, gap down again. Will it run higher? Maybe, maybe not. I do. You guys can, you are able to see here that we are holding this 200 simple moving average where we closed below and then quickly turned around and went held again. In this case, we are kind of hitting our head on this 50 exponential moving average. You guys see that where it hit its head and went lower. So for those of you who are new to candlesticks, we're looking at the daily chart where we opened here, went higher, and then we closed right here, right there. So we have the body of our candle with an upper wick, which just represents kind of selling pressure, right? Which means, who knows what will happen, but it may go lower, it may go higher. It's going to do one of three things guaranteed: up, down, or sideways. I will bet some money on that one. It's definitely going to do one of those. If you do have a big position on it, you know, you can, there's a couple things you can do. Wait for, today would have been a decent day when things were kind of at highs of the day, when the price action hadn't yet receded so much. Would have been a decent time to sell some covered calls at different levels, maybe stagger the time frames would have been a decent approach to do that. But yeah, usually 3 days in a row, there's going to be some kind of a pullback. So does it go something like this? Possibly. That's kind of what I would think it would do. Whether you can hold or not is up to you. At the end of the day, your job is to follow your plan. Now, when it comes to following your plan, I want to ask you guys, do you guys use different R size for day trades and swing trades, or do you use the same? So put either same or different, either one of those two words in the chat pane. I'm curious what you guys do. Same, different, same, different. Okay, so we have a mix. Some use same, some use different. I understand, like sometimes your swing trading, maybe using a retirement account, it's a bigger account maybe than your cash margin trading account for day trades. I understand that makes sense to use different size accounts. Yeah. But what if, guys, in 2021, what if in this new year, you only took trades that met your plan? There's none of this, you know, half balanced, I'm doing it because someone else is doing it kind of stuff. I've lost so much money just doing something, jumping into a trade because someone I followed on Twitter did it. I've learned not to do that, right? Because I have to pick when I enter my trade log, what strategy am I using for this? And there is no follow guy on Twitter option in my dropdown. So I can't do, like, nothing to pick, so I can't do that. Just trust me, ladies and gentlemen, if you can have a disciplined approach and you're able to make decisions that are disciplined and well thought out, trading will be a night and day difference for you. Because some of what you guys are battling is you're jumping into trades, maybe it moves quickly against you, and then you're thinking, oh, I'm down so much, I can't possibly exit now, and then it goes lower. So then you add to it, and then it goes lower again, and then you're kind of stuck, right? You have so much time and effort invested into some of these positions. And number one, you have to know, what is the plan getting in, and what is the plan to exit for a loss or to exit for a win. You have to know that ahead of time. And using the R helps you calculate and establish how many shares are you going to be buying, right? Maybe it's 127, maybe it's 242, whatever that number is. Usually a strange number for when you're using the R system. Have you guys noticed that? It's never like 400 even. It's never 500 even. It's always some strange, unless you're trading AMD, of course, but it's always some strange number for quantity of shares. You know? Justin says, get out of my trade log. Justin, I promise you guys, if you can only take trades that match a plan, life will be so much easier, right? You guys have to think about investing in terms of time and money, not just jumping in and doing whatever, but you have to think about how much time do you spend trying to chase trades higher, right? Just wait for it to come to you. And then also, if you guys have big positions that are moving against you because you didn't plan it out, you know, how much mental, emotional capital is that burning up as you're getting stressed? Is every little lower tick means more money, right, that you're losing. And so it doesn't have to be that way. We choose to make it that way. And I prefer to have this extreme accountability where I want to know everything in my life is there because of a choice that I made, right? So for those of you who have teenagers, you can relate to this. If I wake up one of my daughters, teenagers, and I say, hey, it's time to go, well, and she says, well, I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. I'm like, why'd you go to, well, because I couldn't sleep. Well, why didn't you sleep? Well, because I was playing my phone, right? Or sometimes we do have a hard time going to sleep. There's melatonin. If you have all these are like choices that you make. And so if you realize that you are 100% in your driver's seat and you decide what meets the criteria to enter into your trading accounts, you guys have worked hard for this money. What has a high enough standard that warrants your time to enter a trade, right? That warrants and justifies your time and money to look at and trade and place a trade and get filled. Don't just jump into any and everything just because it's moving. I could tell some of these items on our watch list have already made crazy runs, and you're thinking, oh, I could jump in and get lucky. At the end of the day, you want a duplicatable, repeatable process for success. That's how you grow your account. You don't want these one-offs here and there, I promise you, because you can have you can make $20,000 in one day, right? And then you can quickly lose it within a week trying to repeat that same process. You want a repeatable process, right? So just throw that out there. That's my sermon for the day. Thank y'all. Thanks for listening. Where was I? Qdell. We're gonna have a good time today. And also, for those of you who are really struggling or new, if you get to a place in your trading where you have two options, right? If you're having a bad day, bad month, bad week, bad year. Terry Moose is, I guess, in the other room. I don't know. I showed my new puppy at the beginning of this call. For those of you who are joining us late, his name is Moose. But for those of you who are struggling, you really have two choices. You can quit or you can keep going. Those are your choices, right? And if you quit, you're going to wish probably in the future, years from now, when you see RLT on TV, live streaming our content on TVs, when we have our own islands, right? You're going to think, oh, I used to be with them. I wonder why I left. Like you guys have, like you haven't come this far just to come this far. So I just want to encourage you guys to stick with it and take the whole quitting option. Just like take that, cross that out. It's not even an option, right? You have to have the strong enough mindset to push through. And those of you who can be a little bit more disciplined, the pain of having big losing trades and maybe getting stressed over Thanksgiving and Christmas, it doesn't have to be that way, right? We can close out our positions, take the stress off the table, reset, recalibrate, regroup, and then continue and make better decisions in the future, right? At the end of the day, wherever you are now is not nearly as important as where you were going, right? So those of you who still to this day back trade every day, I back trade every day. For those of you who are back trading, you're studying, you're watching our courses, you guys have a bright future. For those of you who've grown your account, who are getting a little lax, who aren't back trading, who aren't being as diligent, it's going to be a choppy future, right? Those are like predictable, like it shouldn't surprise us kind of where we will be going in the future with those kind of decisions, those kind of choices that how we spend our time. So anyways, all that to say, if you're struggling, take quitting off the table. Don't even make that an option. I'm going to reach out if you need help, ask some questions. You know, the Slack channel is full of people who ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Again, for those of you who, one of the biggest reasons that we hear when people leave RLT is I don't have enough time. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm only spending 3 hours a week doing this. I guarantee we all have 3 hours a week. We can find 3 hours a week if it's important, right? Like if whether or not we have money in our bank accounts, we'll find a way. If we really want to go to Starbucks, we will find a way to get to Starbucks. If you really want it bad enough, you find a way, right? We either find a way or we find an excuse. So I just want to encourage you guys, stick with it. Don't quit. And also if you're able, if you can learn, if you're unable to learn in a supportive community, how will you learn without a supportive community? Just think about that for a minute. Just let that noodle around for a little bit. As I move into Neo, We have an altar call now. I'm kidding. Okay, so Neo, that looks like a heck of a trend. Look at that. Our 10 EMA and our 50 are pretty much parallel for most of the time. If you didn't get in, look at all these signals. Get in, get in, get in. If you missed it, there's another. So what I'm looking for here is for the 10 EMA is obviously we need to close above, which all these are, I'm sorry, close below, which all these close below, and then a close above. So probably in the next few days, we'll get a signal to jump in our 10 EMA strategy, but not at the current moment. If we were to, ooh, look at that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. There's some decent, I'm sure there's some decent premium here at the 40, 42 level, right? We're way above our 200 simple moving average, which is good. We're at the bottom part of our 25% line, which is our dark green line, which is where we sell that's our strike price for when you set up a put option, when you're selling put option premium. If we were to, oops, where'd it go? There we go. So that's what Momo says. Look at this trend, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. If you were to execute your plan, whew, look at that, 28 to 57. That was our high during that little run. As long as we're chasing the crazy stuff that's already made big moves, we'll never have our account open in a ready status to take action on some of these. Neo's not on, you can't be in everything, but Neo's not on my list. But congratulations to anybody who was able to take that signal. That was October 27th through November 30. So a good full 4 weeks, good full month. Yep. And then it sold off, flipped, continues lower. So let's see. If you are not in, Momo is saying to short here at 45.11. If you did get in at that signal, obviously you're profitable already. I wouldn't be very careful holding short positions on stocks that have had massive bullish runs like this. I would be very careful with that because you're kind of running down an up escalator. So just be mindful of that. So that's my thoughts on Neo. Next is Costco. Again, a lot of people think retail, Costco, a lot of people buying gifts. Costco obviously sells more than just food. Let me go back. Okay, let me go back real quick. Neo, Daniel asked, Daniel said, currently have a $25 put sale on Neo. Okay, let's take a look, see. Yeah, solid. Did you guys, what kind of premium did you get on the 25 for January? So we're what, about 5 weeks out? So you got, let's see, January 15th. Yep. So January 15th, yep, right there. Hopefully you got some good premium. I don't see any reason why that doesn't just expire worthless. But even if it gets down to 25 level, that's solid. That's solid, assuming you got some decent premium. Yep. Let's see, K-Dog, exit signal for the 10 EMA. I do not have an exit signal for that. Typically, if you want to use like exit just as a rule of thumb at 2R, you can certainly do that on 10 EMA. So here, the last 10 EMA signal we got would have been here to buy at this level. So obviously if you put a stop here, and people ask, oh, how do you decide where to put a stop? Let me try to answer that real quick. So if we want to jump into something, we need to look for what was the most recent, we use all these fancy terms like pivot, but think of pivot equals U-turn. Where in the price action did the stock make a U-turn, right? Is that a little easier to kind of digest? So here we had a move lower and then higher, right? You guys see that it was a low down here. So we want to put our stop a little bit below that. Now, why would we put our stop below that? And why would we not just put it exactly right there? Well, we're going to be asked to get kicked in the teeth if we do it just like that, right? How many of you guys have ever got put a stop just like that to the penny and price action goes like this and then rockets higher? It's happened to me a lot. So don't be that person. So give it some wiggle room, right? Give us some wiggle room. So if we were to jump in there, I mean, we're already at almost 1R, right? there we are. So if you were to say this is probably 1R and this is probably 2R, and again, I'm just drawing, making sure I have even spacing between here and here, and I'm freehanding. It's not exact, but once I reach that top line, 2R, 3R, there you go. So some people who use the 10 EMA you can use a trailing stop. You can do quite a few things. You can, if you have the actual shares, you can sell a covered call on a nice up day. So let's see if we get a nice, that's okay. There we go, on kind of making a new high. That would be a good day here to sell covered calls, collect some premium, and you could do one of two things: either sell the covered call by itself, or sell the covered call, use the premium that you collected, like the coinage, the dollars, to then buy a lower strike put, which would guarantee you are safe anything, let's say at a 40 level, you're safe. So if this goes to 0, you're getting paid $40, right? And that's, I teach a class on this, and it's called a collar, where you sell a covered call, use the premium to buy a lower price, lower strike put. And you're kind of locking in gains without actually selling the actual shares itself. So let's let this play out. And that's where we are right now today. Yep. Emily says I have a motivational I try not to. I could talk for hours, but I try not to. Thank you for bringing that out, Emily. Okay, Costco, back to Costco. Looks like our last 10 EMA signal would have been over here about a month ago. So let's take a look at it on Momo. Momo is saying short, be short, bearish, right here. Again, on some of these stocks that have had pretty significant run up for the year, starting with like around June, July, nice run up. Be careful holding short positions for a long period of time. They need to be quick in and out. Jeremy will tell you the same thing. Don't hold long. And the reason is the market is designed to go up. And so if you're counter trend, if you're short when the whole world is going higher and you're short, that'll work for a certain period of time. You guys know how that worked with COVID, right? If you were short during COVID, you would have been nicely profitable down here. But the longer you held it, the more your gains disappeared. And then at some point, your winning trade turned into a losing trade. Now, some of you guys may remember Bill Ackman saying, I believe is on this day, that we're going lower, craziness, and he himself was exiting a short position. So he made, I think it was like a quick $10 billion or something like that. Right? Imagine turning a few million into a few billion. When you can't hold it forever, though. You can't hold that counter trend short position for too long, right? You just lock in your gains and move on. You can't hold it forever. And then for some of you who are thinking about like the 2008, 2009 timeframe, when things went lower for probably a good year, it was still pretty much short-lived. It was not a forever kind of thing. So again, through this time frame, you want to be in and out quickly, right? I don't want to hold this the whole time. Who knows how long that will last? You want to get in and out because it's a kind of a counter trend move. Does that make sense? Okay. So Costco, let's take a look at the medium. I'm sorry, the Momo, yep. And then long-term, it looks like it's holding up nicely. So my blue line, my blue escalator line here that goes down here, what that just represents is a 10% sell-off from the most recent high. So ideally, you want the price action to penetrate and go into this green zone and be above, be above the 200 simple moving average. So it's trending nicely higher. So, yep, that's what I have on Costco. It has not jumped into this green zone since like the COVID timeframe. Look at that. If you would have sold it right there, nice for any of these dollar signs where it breaches down into the green zone. Yep. Okay, next is Jefferies Financial Group. Jefferies Financial Group. Let's take a look. There we go, saying enter up here at 23. That's rough, close to all-time highs. Let's see what Momo has to say about it. You can see just by, actually you can turn this off for a second. You guys can see that it's kind of, try again. You can see that it's kind of chopping, going sideways. That is the enemy of Momo. What you want is a trend change and then a continuation higher. So for example, let's turn it back on, somewhere around here, yeah, it would have been you want to get in, and then you want some kind of a trend to continue. That's the idea. Here you can see short, no long, no short, no long, right? It can't make up its mind. So just be mindful of that. On Jeffries, I do think this is a decent one. Probably not a ton of premium, but if you're able to sell some premium around $18, yeah, it does need to, the price action does need to come into this green zone, and it needs to stay above this red line in order to do that. So that is my thoughts on Jeff. Next is Nextra Energy. Looks a lot like our other one we just looked at. Jeff, again, needs to come down into this green area and stay above the red line. Medium term, looks like it got a signal, which probably did not work out quite as good as we would have thought. It looks like it's chopping a little bit right now. You guys see that? Chop, chop, chop. Lower, higher, lower. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But right now, let's take a look on Momo. What it says, it's probably going to say short. No, it's going to say, oh, okay. So depending on what happens tomorrow, these lines could crisscross. We'll see what happens. But if it's saying to get in, if you want to set this up, the green area is still here. Do you guys see that? So you can set up a stop limit buy here, where you want to kind of get in Momo as like a second chance, right? So the move would have been get in at the close of this candle. It moved higher and then lower. The green area is still green. So if you set up a stop limit order, you're going to wait for the price action to get back up to this line. If it doesn't ever get up to the line, you're not in. If it does, you get a second chance. Obviously, if it does get back to that line, the trend in the green area will stay green and should continue higher. So something, whoever asked for that, that looks like a decent way to do it. Yep. You guys see what I'm talking about? The second chance. Okay. Okay, next is Baba. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is Baba. Whew, it was up there, wasn't it? Look at that. So I will say, if we already did close below that. So the thing I'm looking at now is I'm just for a volume pinch. Where's my biggest green candle would be right here. My biggest green selling volume. See that? Which means if I close below that level, ladies and gentlemen, today we closed below that level. Now you will see that it did do that before, and it kind of popped higher, hit its head on the 50 EMA and went lower. So we'll see what happens there, but that is Baba. And you'll see that today was a sell-off with, a little bit elevated, a little bit escalated selling volume. And for our 10 EMA strategy, our blue and green lines are reversed. So we need to wait for that to continue to flip first. And for those of you who are not in it, Momo said, get short right here. Look at that. It chopped around for a good week, went sideways for a week, and then dropped. One of the things I've concluded, just from my own personal, is that the market does not care what I think. Right? I can say, I think this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or Christmas, or New Year's, or whatever, presidential, whatever. It really doesn't matter. The market doesn't care what we think. At some point, we just need a plan, and we need to execute the plan. That's it. Execute our plan. So I want to ask you guys, are you interested in trading, or are you committed to trading? Think about that. Noodle that one over for a minute. Interested or committed? There's a big difference. Sammy, it's not a bad place to get a leap. You just want to, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of kind congestion through this level, right? That's kind of where it's going to. Not a bad place at all. If we were to look at it on our or sell a put or some combination of that, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with these Chinese companies. There was discussion, I haven't kept up with it, about them not selling or not continuing to be traded on US exchanges. I haven't followed up with that. Does anyone know kind of the latest news on that? But I would have a kind of an exclamation point or an asterisk beside any of these Chinese companies. I do know I met David Potvin 2 years ago in Beijing, and I do know Alibaba is a massive, massive company, and Alipay is a huge, huge way. It's kind of like our way of, it's like our Visa in a way in the U.S. It's a massive way to pay, and it's quite significant company. Yep. They have 3 years to comply. Robert Falco is not worried about Baba. Okay, 3 years to comply. Okay, well, there you go. What do they comply? What do they have to do to comply? I don't even know. Is it so they okay, SEC auditing rules. So wait a sec. Does that mean they haven't had any standards with generally accepted accounting principles? They haven't had those. They have had no standards till now. Is that right? It's not enforced in China, but these are companies on the U.S. market exchange. Huh, Chinese. They make their own rules. Huh. Okay. Wow. Makes me scratch my head. How are they allowed to be on the U.S. markets if they don't follow you? I don't know. Another topic for another day. Okay, that is Baba. I would definitely consider selling puts at the 230, 240 level when you get a sign like this in the green zone. So decent spot to sell that. So if you want to get like double long, you could sell some puts and buy some leaps, buy some calls. Yep, absolutely. Not a bad spot. Fastly. Now you'll notice Fastly in my list has a gold thing. Do you guys see that? See if I can zoom in. A little gold pendant. Gold means it's on my 5-year time capsule project. Fastly is one of my 5. Yep. So I have shares. I have some shares. Yep. And again, we're below our, we're above our red line, and you can sell some put option premium wherever you're able to get anywhere from in between here. If you're able to get some decent $80 or $65, $70 strike premium, or $75, wherever you're able to get some good premium. For 1 month out, I'd be looking for 94 cents. For 2 months out, $1.80, $1.88. Right. So again, we're looking for 1% going out 1 month, 1% going out 2 months. We're looking for 2% going out 3 months, 3%. That's right. Very good. So that's that on Fastly. I think Fastly is going to be a very, very important company going forward, but it might be years before Wall Street figures that out. You'll see here on Momo, it had this nice sell-off. Do you see this? And then it chopped around a few times, and then it continued higher, chopped a little bit and continued higher. So again, as long as our green is above our red, it doesn't really matter what happens to the price action. We're still going to be bullish. Again, it doesn't matter what we think, the market's going to do what it's going to do. And our job is to execute our plan, right? How amazing is that? So here you'll see if we're able to close, this might be a good thing for Fastly, close below. And again, I'm bullish. I have shares on this, right? Why is a bull, Fastly bull, care about this? So why do I want it to go lower? Go lower and then close above. You guys would know what happened. That'd be a good 10 EMA signal. Good time to get in if you're not for this nice solid swing trade. Okay, next up is Microsoft Chop City. Look at that, going sideways since about July. So when you think of innovative companies, I'm sorry to say this, but Microsoft is not on my innovative company in my mind. It's these companies are big. Apple, same thing. They were innovative. They are somewhat innovative, but they're not. I don't see these companies make a 10x move because they're already massively mammoth behemoths, right? They're already huge companies. I think Fastly, I think Roku. Fastly is the only one on this list today that I think is worth holding on to long term, like 5 years, like something you'd put in a time capsule, right? Microsoft, yeah, chop. So be careful with Microsoft getting chopped up. Even here, look at that going sideways, chop. So when you have moving averages like this, like the 10 EMA and the 50 EMA, and they're both parallel and going higher, that's a nice trend that you guys can see. And even if you miss out on jumping into any of these, you can jump in at any point. When it starts chopping like this, just be cautious, be careful. There's a lot of things you can do with iron condors and things where you make money when things go sideways. That's a little advanced. I won't get into that today. But there are strategies you can use that you make money if something goes sideways. Did you guys know that? With options, yeah. So obviously if you have shares and it goes sideways, you're not gonna, it's not going up, it's not going down. But with options, you can make some coinage. Yep. Emily, do you trade iron condors? It's a little more sophisticated kind of thing, but yep. Okay, so looks like our signal to jump into 10 EMA for Apple would have been here. If you look at it long term, there's some options through here to sell puts around the 100 level on Apple, but I don't see anything recently. Needs some more pullback. And Momo is saying to get short Apple here at this level. I don't know if shorting Apple is the smartest thing in the world to do, but you know, to each his own. Let's take a look at this. I want to double check something. Okay, so right here we got a signal on that day. So if we were to look at it in Momo, look at that. There's my double signal I've been talking about. You got a signal. Let's see, that was November 27th, and this is November 30th. Okay, so it's a day off. Okay, double bullish, almost double bullish, not quite. Okay, that is Apple. Next is Penn. We got to rush through. Penn is today all-time highs. It made all-time high, didn't close. I guess it did close, the highest close. Is that right? Wow, Penn. Nice, nice trending higher. A little bit of sell-off, continuing higher. If we were to look at it on our long-term with selling puts, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. 55 put is kind of where this would have been ideal to sell. Now it's moved up to about $60. Again, when you're selling put option, you want to wait for it to come into this green zone right through here. You want to be in the sell zone. That is when you make the most premium. I do have a few people that I've talked to who sold some of these put options, not necessarily on Penn, but at almost all-time highs. And what do you think happens when you sell a lot of puts, like on this candle, and then there's a pullback? We'll just say the P&L is dripping with red paint. I was gonna make a joke, but you know, not the best. So in this case, getting in selling puts early November would have been a solid move. You guys could have seen already. You could have easily already bought those back for pennies. If we look at it on Momo, looks like it's chopping a little bit, but this order there, I can absolutely see that happening. And again, with Momo, what you could do is just say, I want to allocate X number of dollars and jump in. So I'm out of time here, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and hit me up and tell me what kind of stocks you would like to look at tomorrow. Robert Falco is going to be in the afternoon room. Hit me with what you got. All righty. So let me start a list over here on the side. Okay, so we got Shopify, Peloton, two of my favorites. A good way to start. ZS, Teladoc, another favorite. NVTA used to be on my list. What else? SPR, Mongo is in my time capsule. Fastly is in my time capsule. AYX is not. Kind of in the doghouse still. Apple. Yep. UAA. Okay. Under Armour. Roku is in my time capsule. Can you believe that, ladies and gentlemen? It's already made a pretty nice run. Yep. TSCO. Wynn Hotels. Wix. ALXO. I'm not even familiar with that. PayPal. PYPL. Okay. Sounds solid. All right. NV, Visa. I'll add that to my list. All righty. Zach Pruno, reach out to me. I'll explain the red flags. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And tomorrow will be hosted by Robert Falco, and I will be back Wednesday and Friday. Again, the next 2 weeks are going to be holidays. We'll be shut down. We will be trading, but not hosting official rooms. So remember to love life, live life, and trade it. Thank you, and good evening. Signing off.